There is a fundamental truth about birds of prey. You do not own them. A dog will love you unconditionally, but a falcon stays with you only because it chooses to. You build a bond through thousands of hours of patience, trust, and absolute mutual respect. When you take the hood off a hunting falcon and release it into the open sky, the only thing bringing that bird back to your glove is loyalty. I spent my life building that loyalty with wild animals. I just wish I had realized my own wife was waiting for the perfect moment to break her tether and fly away. My name is Arthur. I'm 38 years old, and I am a licensed master falconer and raptor breeder. I work with elite clients around the world, training birds for sport and conservation. 6 years ago, I married Elena. Elena was an influencer who loved the aesthetics of the luxury outdoor lifestyle. She loved posing for photos in expensive tweed jackets, but she absolutely hated the reality of my job. She hated the early mornings, the raw meat in the fridge, and the smell of the mews. For 3 years, I had been training a pure white gypsy falcon named Apollo. Gypsy falcons are the largest and most powerful falcons in the world. Apollo was an absolute masterpiece of genetics and training. I had recently secured a buyer, an agent for a royal family in Dubai, who agreed to pay $350,000 for him. It was a life-changing amount of money. I told Elena this was our golden ticket. We were going to pay off the house and live comfortably. But Elena didn't want to share the ticket.
As the sale date for Apollo approached, Elena's behavior completely shifted. She started taking trips to the city to meet with a luxury lifestyle consultant named Julian. Julian was a 40-something guy who wore aviator sunglasses indoors and claimed to be an exotic animal broker. He was a sleazy middleman who bought and sold expensive pets for wealthy clients, taking massive, unearned commissions. Suddenly, Julian was a regular presence in our lives, and the red flags started circling like vultures. First, the profound disrespect. Elena started bringing Julian to the Mews, the raptor housing, while I was working. Julian would look at Apollo not as a living, breathing predator, but as a flying stack of cash. "Arthur, you're just a bird trainer," Julian joked one afternoon. "I'm the guy who moves the market. You should let me handle this Dubai client." Second, the sudden interest in telemetry. Falcons wear tiny GPS and radio telemetry trackers on their legs or tail feathers, so we can find them if they fly too far. Elena, who usually ignored my equipment, started asking highly specific questions about how the trackers worked, how to turn them off, and if the insurance would pay out if the tracker went dark and the bird was lost. Third, the locked phone. Elena changed her passcode. When I asked her for the time while my hands were full of falconry gear, she snatched her phone away like it was on fire. I know how to track a predator in the wild. I decided it was time to track my wife. I keep a trail camera hidden in the tack room where I store the heavy leather falconry gloves, the hoods, and the raw food. It's motion activated, mostly to keep track of local wildlife trying to break in. One evening, while I was out repairing a flight pen, my phone buzzed with an alert from the tack room camera. I opened the live feed. It was Elena and Julian. They weren't just hooking up in my barn. They were going through my telemetry equipment and plotting a $350,000 heist. Because the room was quiet, the microphone picked up every single word. Julian was holding one of my GPS trackers. "It's easy," he said. "When Arthur goes to the state falconry meet on Friday, we take Apollo. We snap this tracker off his leg and throw it in the back of a passing transport truck to throw off the GPS. We tell Arthur the bird broke his tether, got spooked, and flew away." Elena laughed. "He'll be heartbroken, but he'll file the $350K insurance claim. Meanwhile, we take Apollo to the desert salt flats on Saturday to meet the buyer from Dubai.
We do a quick flight demonstration, take the $350K in a crypto wire transfer, and I leave Arthur the next day. The bird trainer is going to pay for our entire life. I sat in my truck, staring at the screen. My wife was sleeping with a black market smuggler. They were going to steal a magnificent, highly regulated wild animal, commit federal insurance fraud, and run away with a fortune. They thought I was just a naive bird trainer. They didn't understand that I controlled the sky.
If you want to catch a thief, you let them steal something they don't know how to control. I didn't yell. I didn't confront her. If I did, Julian would just deny it, and they would try to steal the bird another way. I needed them to take Apollo. I needed Julian to proudly present my bird to the buyer. But a falcon is not a painting. You cannot just hand it to someone. A falcon responds to specific signals, lures, and whistles from its master. Over the next 4 days, while Elena thought I was just doing routine flights, I completely reconditioned Apollo. I stopped using my standard silver whistle. Instead, I introduced a specialized ultra-high frequency dog whistle, a pitch humans can barely hear, but to a falcon, it sounds like a siren. I tied that specific whistle to his absolute favorite reward, fresh quail meat. Within 4 days, if Apollo heard that specific frequency, he would abandon everything else in the world and fly at 200 miles per hour directly to the sound of the sound. I also took the liberty of weaving a microscopic secondary GPS microchip directly into the heavy leather of Apollo's anklet. They could throw the main tracker in a truck all they wanted. I would always know exactly where my bird was. On Friday morning, I packed my bags, kissed my cheating wife, and told her I was leaving for the falconry meet. "Watch the birds for me, Elena," I said. "Don't worry, Arthur," she smiled. "They're safe with me." I didn't go to the falconry meet. I drove straight to the regional office of the United States Fish and Wildlife Service, USFWS. Gyrfalcons are heavily protected under the CITES Treaty, Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species. Selling one requires massive amounts of federal paperwork, DNA registration, and permits. Trying to sell a stolen one to a foreign buyer is a massive federal felony. I sat down with a federal wildlife agent. I played the audio of Elena and Julian plotting to fake the bird's escape and sell it to the Dubai agent. The federal agent's eyes went wide. "Mr. Last Name, this is an international wildlife trafficking ring. Where is the handover happening?" "Tomorrow morning, at the El Mirage dry lake bed in the desert," I said, pulling up my secondary GPS tracker on my iPad. "They just arrived. Let them do the flight demonstration. I will make sure the bird does not leave with them." The agent grinned. "We'll have a tactical team in unmarked vehicles on the perimeter." On Saturday morning, I drove out to the desert. I parked my truck on a high ridge, 2 miles away from the salt flats, completely out of sight. I pulled out my high-powered spotting scope and watched the trap snap shut.
Through the spotting scope, the scene was crystal clear. Julian's luxury SUV was parked on the blinding white salt flat. Next to it was a black Mercedes G-Wagon belonging to the buyer from Dubai. Julian was standing there wearing his sunglasses, proudly holding my magnificent white gyrfalcon on his heavy leather glove. Elena was standing next to him, looking at the buyer's tablet, confirming the crypto transfer was ready. The buyer crossed his arms. "The bird is beautiful," he said, "but I must see him fly. I must see him return to the glove. Let him go." Julian smiled arrogantly. He had seen me do it 100 times. How hard could it be? Julian reached up and pulled the leather hood off Apollo's head. He unclipped the tether. He raised his arm and thrust it upward. Apollo took to the sky. He climbed fast, a brilliant white predator soaring into the blue desert thermals. Julian waited 30 seconds, then pulled out his standard silver whistle and blew it loudly. He held out his glove, expecting the bird to dive back to him. Apollo didn't even look down. He just kept circling, 500 feet in the air. Julian started sweating. He blew the whistle harder. He waved his arm. Nothing. The buyer from Dubai started frowning. Standing on the ridge 2 miles away, I stepped out of my truck. I pulled the ultra-high-frequency whistle from my pocket. I took a deep breath, and I blew it with everything I had. High above the desert, Apollo heard the siren.
Through the scope, I watched Apollo tuck his wings. He didn't dive towards Julian. He turned his back to them and went into a sheer 200-mile-per-hour stoop dive, flying straight over their heads away from the salt flats and directly towards my ridge. Julian screamed, waving his arms frantically. Elena looked up at the sky in pure, unadulterated panic as her $350,000 payday literally flew away. "You do not control this bird," the Dubai buyer yelled at Julian. "This is not your Falcon. You are a fraud." The buyer immediately canceled the crypto transfer, got in his G-Wagon, and sped off. Before Julian and Elena could even process what had just happened, 3 unmarked black SUVs tore across the salt flats, surrounding them in a cloud of dust. Armed federal agents jumped out.
While Julian and Elena were being handcuffed and thrown against the side of their SUV for federal wildlife trafficking, Apollo landed gently on my leather glove. I gave him a massive piece of quail, stroked his white feathers, and drove home. The fallout was an absolute massacre. Julian's exotic animal brokerage was raided by the feds. They found out he had been smuggling protected reptiles and birds for years. He was charged with multiple felonies under the Lacey Act and sentenced to 5 years in federal prison. Elena was arrested as a co-conspirator. She tried to cry and play the victim, claiming Julian manipulated her, but the federal agents had the audio of her happily plotting to steal my bird and commit insurance fraud. Because she cooperated and testified against Julian, she avoided federal prison time, but she was hit with a massive felony conviction and 5 years of strict probation. During our divorce, she had absolutely zero leverage. Her influencer career was vaporized. Nobody wants to follow a convicted animal smuggler. The judge was so disgusted by her actions that he awarded me 100% of our marital assets and the house. She walked away with nothing but the clothes on her back and a federal record.
It's been almost 3 years since that day in the desert. A month after the arrests, I finalized the sale of Apollo to the Dubai buyer. The buyer was so impressed by how well the bird was trained and how spectacularly I had proven his loyalty that he actually paid me $400,000 for the trouble. I bought a massive new ranch in Montana, built state-of-the-art mews, and I am thriving. Last I heard, Elena is working as an overnight dispatcher for a local taxi company. She sits in a tiny, windowless room all night, completely cut off from the glamorous, high society life she tried to steal. If there is a lesson to be learned here, it's this: true loyalty cannot be bought, forged, or stolen. If your partner thinks they can use your life's work to fly away with someone else, don't fight them. Don't yell. Just unclip the tether. Let them take the bird into the desert. And right when they think they control the sky, blow the whistle and watch the whole world come crashing down on them. Thanks for listening to my story. If you enjoyed this one, drop a like, hit subscribe, and let me know in the comments, what's the smartest animal you've ever worked with? Stay grounded and always trust your training.